Okay, thank you.
Morgan, Ian is actually the MC for this track, so he was and is actually introducing speakers like that. Most of you know Tom. I'm going to switch your actually.
Yeah.
But Ian, go ahead.
Without much ado, I think I didn't realise that was particularly part of my role. I will do it better next time. But Tom, if you'd like to start off with this afternoon's track in the healthcare. Thanks.
Sure, great. Thanks everyone for showing up. Try to get this microphone on. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm Tom Wilson, president of Jack Russell Software. We're a custom Ruby on Rails development shop in Charleston, South Carolina. Got 9 people, and we do nothing but work on healthcare problems using open source tools. Primarily Ruby on Rails. And most of all of our applications are deployed in the cloud. And we've been doing cloud deployment since 2008, which may not seem like that long, but it's a pretty long time in the cloud world. What I wanted to talk about as far as healthcare in the cloud was to really sort of give a very brief overview of how I sort of define the cloud, and then go through one of probably the biggest issues that we face in healthcare with the cloud, and then go through maybe some features and benefits of why use the cloud versus some other opportunities. So the cloud is really sort of split up into 3 different types of service offerings. And there's probably more, but these are the 3 I generally base cloud services into. Infrastructure as a service, which means that they provide the infrastructure, but you're responsible to build the platform, and you're responsible to provide the application. And then you have platform as a service, which is sort of a step up, so that you are responsible to provide the application, but they have the platform and the infrastructure. And then you have software as a service. And in that case, the cloud is providing your software, your application. They're providing the platform, and they're providing the infrastructure. So it's a full stack. And most of the stuff that we work on is through infrastructure as a platform, and infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service. Is there any questions? Does everybody sort of understand those 3 service offerings? So the first thing I wanted to tackle is sort of how we address HIPAA. That's probably the biggest question that we get with our clients. And basically, there's a couple ways to approach that. HIPAA is not really a cloud problem. If you need accessibility to your data via the internet, whether your data is in the cloud or in your office, you have to deal with the exact same issues of accessibility. So that's really one way to look at it. If you have computers in your office and you want your stakeholders to access them at home via the internet or access them mobily, then you have very similar issues as does the cloud to get access to that. And you can also dive into several different types of compliant capabilities inside each service offering. So infrastructure as a service gives you raw power to do things. Most of them have some sort of security protocols in place, like a SAS 70. It's a very high-end security protocol, but still it's up to you, the developer, to make sure that you put your solutions out into that infrastructure securely. They're not going to go in and say, oh, you have port so-and-so open and someone's going to be able to hack in. It's sort of put back on you with the infrastructure as a service offering. The platform as a service offering adds a little bit more of a layer on top to help you with that. They may offer a platform and give you restrictive rules on how you can use that platform. And then the software as a solution, again, they have to be HIPAA compliant. So if you're doing software as a service and they're not HIPAA compliant, then you shouldn't be using them. The platform as a service is it's important that they are willing to work with you and that they have that mindset of security in place. And again, SAS 70 is a good thing. PCI compliance is a good thing to look for. A lot of cloud systems basically say that we give you the tools to be HIPAA compliant. So hopefully that'll help answer that a little bit. And that goes into just knowing your cloud vendor. You know, we make sure that we control the access of our data, not the cloud vendor. So it's very important to our clients that they know that we're controlling the data, we're managing the data, and we're making sure that it's secure. And there's always the option of build your own cloud. Build your own cloud, there's several systems. Eucalyptus is one where you can actually buy your own hardware and then pull their software down and build your own infrastructure, your own cloud, and you can allow other people to run their platforms on top of it. So that's always an option, and it's completely open source, and they also have an enterprise edition as well. So again, sort of why deploy your applications on the cloud? And I always get that question a lot, especially if clients have a significant investment in infrastructure in their organization. They have an IT shop that handles a lot. A lot of IT shops are against cloud deployment. But what I'm going to try to do is just go through some features and some benefits and you know, give you some idea of why. It really depends on what your situation is and what your needs are. But there's a lot of features to the cloud, and they may be different than you think. A lot of people think that, oh, the cloud is cheaper. But it's not really that much cheaper. The IT team can say, well, it's a lot more expensive. But one of the biggest features is scalability. And when I talk about scalability, I'm talking about the ability to scale within minutes, even seconds. So, for example, if you have an application out there and you know that you're going to have several concurrent users come at a certain amount of time, you can turn that dial up and provide enough application capacity for those users to connect. And then you know that they're not going to connect for an amount of time. For example, maybe on a weekend, you can turn that dial down and control your cost so that you don't have to pay as much for that scale. But it's an extremely powerful feature, especially if you're dealing with some users that may need full bandwidth to the system at 8 to 5 o'clock, but then low accessibility at night. So you can just lower that down, still give them accessibility, but you can lower that down, and then you can bring it back up, and that's extremely valuable. Affordability, again, sort of pay-per-use model. So if you're not using it, you don't have to pay for it. Whereas if you purchase servers and infrastructure, IT staff, and all of that inside, whether you're using it or not, you're paying for it. You're paying for that capacity. So if you're in a project, a greenfield project or a startup, the cloud is a perfect area to start. And if it grows and you're at a point where you want to bring that inside, it's a very easy transition. It's a lot harder to transition from a physical IT space into the cloud than from the cloud to physical IT space. And secure. And this is an interesting one. You know, a lot of talk out there is how the cloud's insecure, how there's a lot of vulnerability, and you know, I think you can make an argument, a very good argument, that the internet as itself is insecure. It's a completely insecure open area. And certainly anything that's on the internet, you can make an argument that it's insecure. when I say this is secure, I'm talking about clients who may have a doctor's office, they have no IT staff, and they go to Staples and they put a public Wi-Fi in. They put a public Wi-Fi on their local network, and all of a sudden they've given a great feature or benefit to their patients so that they, while they wait, they can surf the internet, but they just opened their whole database to anyone in the patient room, and they don't even know it. Or into someone that's walking by in the parking lot that notices that Wi-Fi is up. So the cloud really allows you to control who has access to your systems, even within your own office. So for example, if you put an application up in the cloud, you don't really have to have a network in your office. You don't have to have servers. All you need is that internet connection, and you can control, using encryption, who can get in and out and keep that traffic encrypted so that no one can break in. Again, it's one of those things that you have to constantly fight, you have to constantly stay up on. But one of the advantages of the cloud is the infrastructure as a service vendors, the platform as a service vendors are fighting that same fight. So more than likely, and they fight it day in and day out, so more than likely they're going to help you out with that. And just to go into a lot of the benefits, a few of the benefits. So those are features, those are things that developers like. These are things that are cool for us because it allows us to develop on the application instead of develop and maintain servers. The benefits is that everyone gets access to the system. And it's very easy whether you have an iPad or whether you have a web browser, any kind of internet connection, you can get access to that data. And a lot of clinicians need access to patient data in all kinds of different places. And sometimes they need access even when they can't get an internet connection. And the cloud is a part of that as well. Disaster recovery. This is a big one. There's a lot of things that's going on, but a lot of our clients are in Philadelphia, and they get snowstorms, it seems this year, every 2 weeks. Power goes out, but they're still able to manage their patients. They're still able to manage data. They're still able, even if they can't get to work, they can still look at patient records and they can manage their medication profile. So disaster recovery sort of comes for free. You architect your application with that in mind, put it in the cloud, and you don't have to worry about having a co-location in Memphis, Tennessee, and have to worry about having a weekend where you pull the plug in one area and make sure that all the data, everything transfers into another one and works. Those are quite expensive. It's very costly to have that kind of disaster recovery plan, whereas the cloud makes it much easier.